cannot stand by and allow these prison violence to happen, not on our watch.
We chose to ignore them and not believe them, right, because we have treated them as throwaways of society. These are not throwaways of society.
And welcome back to Inside City Hall. We just heard from some of the supporters of the new End Prison Violence campaign. The campaign is pushing for the passage of a package of prison-related bills that have already been approved by the legislature and is now awaiting Governor Kathy Hochul's signature. The package includes a bill to empower the Independent Correctional Association to investigate prisons, require a timely notice of deaths in custody, and mandate more camera coverage in prisons. The group is also pushing for the closure of 3 prisons in New York. Joining me now to talk more about all of this is a special panel. Derrick Hamilton is the co-founder of the Friends and Family of the Wrongfully Convicted organization, and Rosemary Rivera is the executive director of Citizen Action of New York, which is part of the campaign. Thank you both for joining me today. How are you?
All right, thanks for having me.
Hi. Rosemary, I want to start with you. Break it down for me. Tell me what's at the heart of this campaign, and tell me a little bit about the legislation you're hoping will ultimately get the governor's signature. What kind of meaningful change do you hope this will make?
So at the heart of this is the humanity of the person and persons that we have seen recently murdered, and that is Robert Brooks and Messiah Nansui, who were brutalized and murdered. And we saw Robert Brooks' murder. All of us witnessed that. Imagine being the father who had to actually grieve that. So Robert Ricks and I were very good friends, and for many, many years, from Rochester, New York. And we got together, he asked me for some help, and we decided to build this campaign because there was nowhere where the prison conditions lived. Many organizations across the state were doing this work, but we weren't always leveraging all of our power together. And so we decided to come together, and it's about time because at the heart of this, we need to really, really decarcerate and prison violence. We need to actually be able to have people not be brutalized. They weren't sentenced to torture in the prison system. And we need to make sure that we begin to shift the culture within our prisons and shine a light in order to have real accountability.
Yeah, Derrick, as part of the campaign, you want to see the Correctional Association of New York empowered to investigate prisons. What does that mean? Because my understanding is they already have the authority to visit, inspect, report on prison conditions. So what more do you think they should have the power to do?
They should have access to go unannounced, just show up and go in prisons and be able to speak to people and be able to take those reports that they get from people and just publish them. Now they got to give them notice. And by the time they get there, the guards have cleaned up all of the abuses and threatened people not to speak to them. So they should be able to just knock on their door and walk in, right? And then they should have power to do something about the things that they find.
Okay.
You know, that's what they should have. That's what we want to see.
There was a protest earlier today outside of Governor Hochul's office. We did get a response from Governor. She said, in part, our administration continues to explore a number of options with our legislative partners to improve the system through renewed correction officer recruitment efforts and policy reforms. And she went on to say, her office went on to say that the governor will review this legislation. Derrick, when you hear that, what's your response to how the governor is responding to the protest today?
Well, first, I don't believe the governor. These are common sense things that should have been enacted, right? She rehired some of the same correctional officers that walked out that was a part of the abuses. So we don't believe her. We wanted to sign these bills and sign these bills now. We don't want no hesitation. We want them done now.
They're not really very transformational to begin with. We're not asking for seriously radical transform. Actually, we are asking for it. We just know that the system is very slow to move towards what we truly want. So at this point, these are very small reforms that will potentially save a life, such as the cameras. Right. If a correction officer sees a camera or knows that the cameras are there, maybe they'll hesitate. Maybe that's a life that can be saved.
Well, the governor has already said that she wants to expand prison cameras, and she's already set aside funding for that. What more do you think should happen?
Well, I think accountability, right? I think that she should be able to hold these prison guards accountable. Somebody shouldn't have to die, right? If a prisoner is assaulted, there should be a task force that immediately locks them up and arrests them. Cameras are good, but there was cameras that captured this brutal beating of Robert Brooks. Cameras is not a deterrent in my eyesight, right? Prison guards know where to take you at and beat you at in these facilities. So there's a bill about getting rid of these dead zones, right? We want that also, right? And we also want accountability. We want the governor to stand up for once and show courage, right? Say, if you assault a prisoner, you're going to jail. Let's get OSI, a better OSI. Right now, the commissioner brother has OSI. We want an independent Office of Special Investigation to hold these cops accountable. We want an independent organization that special prosecutes these officers immediately. We need that.
Derrick, I can see that you are really passionate about this issue, and I know it's personal for you.
Yes.
Why so?
I spent over 30 years in prison. The racism in those prison facilities are just unbelievable. Ku Klux Klan run these facilities. They run around with black babies hanging on their arms, right? And we complained about this for years, wrote grievances about this for years. Nothing was done. Robert Brooks showed what happens to us on camera. It didn't start the day of Robert Brooks. It was just captured on camera that day. So it's very passionate. A lot of my friends was abused and murdered in prison. We need to change this.
And Rosemary, I know you also have an experience of being formerly incarcerated. How did you go from that position to now being here, you know, organizing, protesting outside of the governor's office, sitting with us here in Inside City Hall to push for these kinds of changes?
Honestly, because a lot of people invested in me. And that's the truth.
Nice.
Moving into a movement that really built up leadership development and really encouraged me and poured into me, and Citizen Action did that for me for many years. In essence, and the truth be told, they saved my life in many ways.
What do you believe the deaths of Robert Brooks and Nantwi Messiah exposed about New York State prisons?
They actually expose what we who have been in prison have known for many years, is the brutality. The system was built, and it's historically been a brutal prison system. It was not built to rehabilitate. Corrections, perhaps that's not the right word for it. Guards, perhaps, the warehousing of human beings without dignity and respect. That might be more accurate of a picture. So we've been saying that we've been beaten, that we've been abused, that women have been sodomized, have been raped, all these things for many, many years. And it took the Robert Brooks video to actually get people to see. And one of the things that they saw was people milling around as if it was another Tuesday, on a regular day. And we know it was a regular day. They've normalized that kind of torture in prisons, and we need to pass increased legislation like the No Torture Bill Act. We need to end parole for elders. That might even save us money in the long run in a state that is really in a climate with a president who might actually impact.
Derrick, correctional officers are facing criminal charges in both of these cases, these deaths from earlier in the year. Is that justice?
No, I mean, these officers were allowed to walk in the front door and walk out the back. I was sitting in the courtroom and seeing them giving very low bails, right? They stayed out 90 days, was able to spend the holidays with their families. And then when we thought we would get justice, they walked in the front and walked right out the back, right? If you was black and you had murdered somebody on camera, that would have never happened. You wouldn't have got bail. So there's two justice systems, right? One for white prison guards and one for black people. They didn't get justice that day for Robert Brooks. It was a shame, it was a slap in the face to everybody that stands up for justice. That was not justice.
Okay, Derrick Hamilton, Rosemary Rivera, thank you both for joining me for this conversation.